Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, the weather is a little confusing. Again, this week, we're getting highs in the 70s, and I don't know how to dress for this, but I do know how to cook for it. On a chilly fall night, there's nothing like sipping on some homemade soup. We're here with one of Pittsburgh's best, Sarah McAlee, aka the Brothmonger, to help us make the most of soup season. And in my case, maybe how to turn all these frozen kitchen scraps into a yummy broth. It's Thursday, October 26th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh is talking about. So I want to talk about soup, but I also want to talk about you. You've made a bunch of big changes since we talked to you last year.
Yeah.
Seems like forever ago.
Yeah, now I am busier than I ever have been. Like when I was a full-time funeral director, I pretty much had 3 jobs at all times. Now I still kind of have 3 jobs, but 2 of them are like working for myself, basically. But it's okay. I often find myself being like knee deep in work, but feeling very happy about it and glad that I get to dictate my life and decide what I get to do and when I get to work and all that stuff. I feel like I'm like working for the city of Pittsburgh, like the people, not the actual city, but I'm like working for the people that I'm feeding, which is it's a nice feeling.
And does it feel like an expansion or a contraction? Like you've let go of this one thing to make space for another. But I feel like folks, even really nice, super well-meaning people are often like, well, that's great. You're being ambitious. You're striving because like societally, that's what we tend to value.
Yeah, it feels like an expansion of Brothmonger for sure. Like I feel like I'm able to put in way more effort into the brand and the business. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting parallel, the way that people wanted to. It feels like to me, people really wanted to support it a lot when I was busting my ass to do it as like a side gig. But now that it's like my whole thing, people are kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say not as supportive, but I just find that it's a little more difficult for me to kind of connect with, I don't know, the city and like find places to sell my soup and stuff. It's just, I feel a little waning of support now that I'm like, hey, I'm doing what you guys wanted me to do, or you said you wanted me to do.
I know. People wanted the soup. You're giving them the soup now.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, so you are selling in a bunch of places now. It's Deutschtown Deli. You're actually on the marquee, which is great, I thought.
So cool, yeah.
And then Time Machine and Linea Verde Green Market in Bloomfield.
Yes.
Anywhere else?
No, so right now I'm selling at those 3 places, but I also am working at Time Machine. So I work there Thursday through Sunday, but the season is going to be ending towards like in November or December. So I'm actually looking for a 4th location now.
Well, if anyone has kitchen space, the Brothmonger is hungry. Let her know.
Exactly. Yes. I'm looking for a 4th location to sell soup. Ideally, it would be like in a new neighborhood. I'm interested in like the East End, the South Hills, something like that. But yeah, somewhere with a kitchen and a grocery space would be ideal.
You're the only Pittsburgher I know who's actively looking to drive all over the city.
Yeah, I don't mind. Honestly, it's like I feel like I'm always going to be pissed off behind the wheel. So what's why
what's
not
one
add
more?
Yeah.
Last time you were here, you said that November is sort of the high season for soup. Does it still feel that way?
Definitely. I like kind of have felt like soup season is all year for a while, but then this year it was
for you it is.
For me it is for sure, but this year it was pretty much like October 1st. It was like immediately like I can't make enough soup. Like it's picked up so much since it started to get even just like a little chillier.
Is there any soup that you always want to make or want to order, like depending on the weather, like when it gets really cold or when the leaves are falling?
I've been really into cabbage lately.
That feels very Pittsburgh of you.
I know. I know. My boyfriend is so Western Pennsylvania, and he like grew up in a big like Slovak family, so he's very like cabbage guy. And I just feel like all of his tendencies are like rubbing off on me. But last time I did this podcast, I was like, oh my God, give beans a chance. And now I'm like, let's get into cabbage, guys. Like I've been super into it lately. But yeah, I'm trying to put cabbage in every soup these days.
What's your favorite application of it, or a wild card, a place where you would buy it from someone? Like you'd let someone make soup for you?
When I want soup and I don't feel like making it, I go to Hal Lee or Everyday Noodles.
Okay, some Squirrel Hill love.
Cafe 33 has a really good like pickled fish soup. Oh, also UBY has really good soup. They're all like Chinese Szechuan, all of that stuff. And then also I really like pho. And my favorite one in the city is Pho Van, which is
Strip
on
District,
Penn
right?
Avenue. Yeah, in the Strip, right across from Strip District Meats.
This episode is brought to you by Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic, a 2-in-1 probiotic and prebiotic formulated with 24 clinically and scientifically studied strains to support healthy regularity and your gut, immune, and skin health. Optimize your gut health. Visit seed.com/Spotify with code Spotify for 30% off your first month of Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
So let's get into some tips for making your own soup at home, if you don't have Brothmonger handy, of course. What is a good Brothmonger-approved beginner recipe?
I always like to recommend that people make like a bisque or something like that if they are a beginner. You can make a bisque with anything, and there's like tons and tons of recipes online, but ultimately it involves like roasting things, basically just like making vegetables soft and then putting them in a blender with either water or cream or coconut milk. And then from there, it's very easy to manipulate the flavors with like salt or vinegar or, herbs or whatever. Bisques are super easy to make and they have a huge margin for error. But other than that, I definitely recommend reading my newsletter.
The Broth Mailer.
There's a lot. There's a lot of great. I try to do like a lot of great approachable recipes that have few ingredients, that take a little time and have a big payout. And I try to pack as much information into those newsletters as I can, but also make them very like approachable and feel easy to take on any of those recipes. So I definitely recommend reading the newsletter. It's almost my favorite part of being Brothmonger. I love writing and I love it when people read it.
We're dedicated to you over here at CityCast Pittsburgh.
I appreciate it.
How long does it actually take to get a good soup? Because I know that time is very important to your process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more time that you can give to a soup, the better it will be. But there's definitely also shortcuts to, fake it. You can, I will never turn my nose up to like bouillon or anything like that.
Okay.
The only thing that I say never to is rotisserie chicken. I don't.
You don't do the rotisserie.
I can't get behind it.
The $6 chicken really speaks to the masses.
Yeah. No, I can't get behind it, and I don't condone it for anyone's use. But yeah, if you can, you can take 2 hours and make a great soup and then just put it in the fridge and eat it tomorrow and it will be great.
It'll be better.
Yeah. It's just like the amount of time that you can give to it. If you're making a broth, I think like 3 to 5 hours is great depending on what kind of broth it is. But
Sarah, can I confess something? I've never made broth.
Oh my
I'm
God,
afraid of it.
Do you cook?
I cook constantly, but broth for whatever reason scares me.
Oh, you should do it. It will change your life.
Like, and I save things for it. Like, I save like the butts of onions and like carrots, and I have like a little rind of Parmesan because I've heard that you're supposed to do it. They're all in my freezer, and I'm just afraid to start.
Oh, do it. It will change your life.
But what do you do? Like, do you literally just put it in a pot with water?
Yeah. A really great way to introduce yourself into the broth making process is just to make chicken broth. Get like 1 pound of chicken wings and then put all of that stuff in your freezer into a pot with cold water, submerge it in cold water, and then just let it very lightly simmer for like 3 hours. And when I say lightly simmer, you want it to be like blub, 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 blub. No boiling, just like a bubble here and there. And then if there's any fat on the top, you just take a slotted spoon and skim it off. And it's so easy and it's so rewarding, and you can use it for everything.
Well, if you're a visual learner, Sarah has videos on her broth mailer, so I highly suggest you get on those. Maybe I'll do the same and attempt a broth after all these years.
Do it.
I can't express to you how much kitchen trash is in my freezer taking up space because I have not been able to commit.
You got to do it. And then you can put it in the freezer. You don't even have to make soup with it. You can make like potatoes with it, vegetables, rice, it's great for everything.
Do you think that for ingredients, like quality matters? Like sometimes I use farmer's market fresh stuff, but sometimes I'm also a little sad and lazy and I grab soup vegetables, quote unquote, from the frozen section at Giant Eagle.
I definitely think that quality matters. I think that like the better.
I'm sad nobody could see your eyes. Try really hard not to really shade in that moment.
I'm not trying to shade you, but I didn't even know that soup vegetables was a thing you could get in the freezer.
You can buy soup vegetables. It's important.
Listen, it's okay. I eat Totino's pizza rolls all the time. It's not.
You're just a soup snob, not a culinary snob.
No, I'm not a culinary snob, and I have to be a soup snob because it's my profession.
Your latest broth mailer does go into the finer points of your favorite fast food orders, so I can vouch for you.
Yes, I am a garbage human, and I'm not sorry about it, but I mean, I use frozen stuff in soups all the time, but it's like frozen peas, frozen beans, and frozen corn. I wouldn't use frozen carrots or frozen celery, but that's okay. I mean, whatever gets you there, I'm fine with.
Are there any ingredients or pantry staples that you always keep on hand for this sort of thing?
Yeah, I always keep some small pastas. I always have dried beans. I always have miso. I always have bouillon. And then if you have like stuff like that, I try to keep broth frozen. I always have potatoes. So generally, like I don't know why. I had a dream last night that the world ended, and I was like, we're going to be fine. I have so much stuff here.
As long as the electricity holds out, we're solid.
Yeah. I keep a very well-stocked kitchen. Yeah, I try to keep stuff around all the time, and it really doesn't take much. You can just, as long as you have a few vegetables and a few pantry staples, you can always make something that is good.
Well, if folks want to find you, want to contest your opinions about rotisserie chicken, maybe, where can they get in touch?
People can always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm not always 100% responsive on Instagram, but definitely feel free to DM me.
We're all just doing our best.
Yeah, absolutely. The other great way to get a hold of me is to send me an email, brothmonger@gmail.com. I'm at Time Machine every weekend. And other than that, just like busting my ass making soup every single day.
Yeah. Sarah, thank you so much for feeding us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a blast.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. A heads up, if you want to talk soup season with us in person, the whole CityCast team is hosting a happy hour at Trace Brewing in Bloomfield. So pick up some Brothmonger and Linea Verde, then come have a drink with us. We'll be in the beer garden from 5 to 7 p.m. on Thursday, November 9th. The first 20 guests who either sign up for the Hey Pittsburgh newsletter or prove that you're already a loyal subscriber can get a free drink on us. That's Trace Brewing in Bloomfield, 5 to 7 p.m. on Thursday, November 9th. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
I feel like whenever I get into the soup zone and get into those like 40 quart pots, I just like disassociate and become a soup machine.